And why don't we get started here shortly in 1 second. Okay, let me start by introducing myself. So please keep hammering on the chat. Specific questions, just as a reminder, specific questions you want me to answer, put it in the Q&A. And then everything else you want to say, comment on, say where you're from, tell everybody hi, answer each other, you can use in the chat. So to get things going, my name is Steve. I'm co-founder and CEO of Builder.io. We make the only headless CMS that has a full-on drag and drop visual editor. So imagine full bespoke drag and drop, generate with AI, use your components, create things visually without code, while using the code that you have, the components your engineers have built, the data that you have in your backend to construct the front-end experiences. Oh, wow, thank you for the people who love Builder in the chat. And it can plug into any website that you use. So historically, if you were like a J.Crew, you would have to, if you're a developer on the team, you're going to have to see what the marketing team wants for new pages and build them out. And this takes a long time. Or if you're a marketer, product, et cetera, you would have to ask for things to be built on the site. For J.Crew or any of the other customers you can look at on our homepage, all they have to do is plug Builder in, and now the entire team can build visually. Take the components you have, rearrange, put them in, personalize pages, run tests, etc. Build out net new things, and it's completely in your control. So the engineers, if you're a developer, you can set the constraints. Who's allowed to do what? Are you allowed to build with AI, or do you have to stick to the design system? Are you allowed to use these components? Are you allowed to use your e-commerce catalog? It's all just kind of a drag and drop away. Really, really great for performance and everything too. So as you might imagine, when you have these large companies who are building connected to their stack and they're using this drag and drop editor, wouldn't you want nothing better than to just say what you want and it happens, right? At the end of the day, most of our workflows are, as an example, marketing team wants new homepage, 2 call to actions, shop men's, shop women's, beautiful image in the background, a set of recommended products below it. Right now with Builder, 100% achievable. A lot of systems, you could drag, drop, produce this from scratch. You could intermix code, etc. But what if you could just say that's what you want and see it happen? And so let's jump in. I'll start showing you how Builder solves this, how you can use this with your current websites, or just download the code and integrate it however you like. Where we're seeing success with customers, where we're seeing these kind of unfolding in the future. And let me start jumping into things. Let me take a quick peek at the questions, make sure nothing that maybe is best to fire off before we go into it. Yes, actually, I really like Chuck's questions. There's a few really good ones here. So let me actually jump into some demos and some cool stuff, and I'll answer questions as we go. So let's start with, I want to generate something with AI. So we added a new tab in Builder that is basically the speak a prompt and get what you want. You can use that to generate or edit content, and content can be static. It's always responsive, and I'll show you interactive content editing, like making mini applications and editing those with AI as well. So I'm going to jump in here, and this is where we can describe exactly what we want. Maybe I'll zoom in a bit, so regardless of your screen size, maybe you can see this an ounce better. So this is my prompt. So I'm going to say, I like this idea of starting with a homepage hero. I'm going to say with 2 buttons, one that says shop men's, one that says shop women's. And let's start there. Let's start really simple. And then you can add as much detail into the prompt as you like. So you can say what colors, design tokens you should use. You can save prompts and pop them in here later. You could describe down to the detail of the fonts, the typographies, whatever describes your brand you can put here. We also ask you to give a reference website. This is to fill in any gaps. While everybody can write the most exhaustive detailed prompt of every detail of the spacing, colors, fonts, and everything that you'd ever want to use, it's nice to add the critical details and give us some sense, right? Any missing details, should we model it after Everlane? Should we model it after Nike? Give us a sense. I'll use Everlane because I quite like them. They're one of our earliest customers too. And now we hit generate. Now, this takes a little bit because just like ChatGPT, which I hope everyone here has used, what we're doing is we're actually streaming in the response piece by piece. Unlike with ChatGPT, where as the words come in, you can read the words. When you're doing visuals, you actually need to get the entire response from the AI, and then we'll output that in a way that we can now select from. So this takes a minute. We're making this faster. I'll talk about a little bit of kind of like where this is going. But believe me, waiting 30 to 60 seconds for the machine to generate several different options based on your prompt versus waiting for a developer to build it from scratch, I would generally take 30 seconds over potentially 30 days or more. And I generally prefer not to be that developer having to build these. So here we go. We have a few different variations that work pretty well here. And I'm going to say I kind of like this one, but I want to make some edits. So we have exactly what he asked for. We have a hero. We have 2 buttons. It says shop men's, shop women's. This is where you can go in and edit visually in great detail. So I can go over to style menu and say, hey, I want these buttons centered. Maybe I want this button to be a little bit wider. I'll increase that max width. But you can also edit all of this with AI as well, not just little piece by piece. Like, for example, maybe I want a new title. I can hit this button to modify the specifics with AI. Like, for instance, maybe I want to generate a new title, or maybe I want to translate it. I think that one's kind of a fun one. So let's translate this text to Spanish. This works a lot faster because there's not much to generate. And I can edit multiple as well. Like, maybe I'll visually add a little space here. I'll select both of these. And then maybe I want to change this to also, let's translate these to French. I'm just going to make a wild and wacky page here just for fun. And there we go. We have our French translation. Now, Builder has workflows and integrations with localization providers. So you can have these things generated by humans, approved by humans, stuff like that. But these are kind of a fun use case. I will kind of go back here, but you can do obviously a whole lot more than that. So in this case, we can also say, this is kind of boring placeholder. Let's say, describe why Everlane's products are the best products. Let's see what the AI comes up with. Some use cases that are interesting here, outside of some obvious localization or optimization use cases. Generating boilerplate is a nice one. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I find it a lot easier to be able to decide to have something written for me and then look at what I like and don't like and edit it, as opposed to always have to create it from scratch. So I can look at this and say, okay, that's okay, but make this shorter, only 1 sentence. Just like you use to a ChatGPT, give it feedback. Okay, we got a whole lot about why Everlane's products are great. Let's make it smaller. We can go in and manually update whatever we want. Like, I actually want this to be like that. And that's looking a little better. But now let's say we actually wanted to A/B test this. One thing that comes up a lot when it comes to being able to create all these things visually is people want to start running edits. They want to go in and let's make an A/B test variation. Cool, we can rearrange these sliders, but let's just go 50-50. I'll do this split evenly. And now let's make our variation. And now we can go in and say, let's do a funny one. Let's ask the AI for a more conversion optimized version of this. And let's see what it gives. It can be corny sometimes. That's where I would recommend experimenting with different prompts and seeing sort of the types of things you can say. For example, this is too long, so please make this shorter. And we can get it down to a smaller side. Hey, I kind of like that, actually. That's not that bad. So now we can run an A/B test of a generic why Everlane's products are the best against a more action-oriented, make a difference with your purchase today. And let's see which one does better. We can literally just publish this and it'll be on the live website immediately. And then we'll start collecting data on which actually was more effective. So over in A/B tests, or sorry, over in Insights, we will have no data yet, but this is just an example of what will be shown. So no traffic is hitting. You can see zeros all around, but ultimately we'll be able to see between the A/B test groups what's getting more views, clicks, impressions, conversions. We'll even show a heat map where you can look at, there's no data for this, we can't show it for this, but we'll show you a heat map of like, are people clicking the buttons more for the variation with the more conversion optimized, or at least AI took an attempt at more conversion optimized. Another interesting use case here as well is personalizing the messaging. So up here, I can go in and start personalizing based off of audiences that we have. These can come from your CDP, for example, maybe logged in versus logged out, return visitors, or any audience you have, power shoppers, menswear shoppers, etc. And we can start making conversion optimized versions as well. So I can go in here and say, optimize this text for our menswear shoppers. Start really simple. You can get detailed, optimize this text for our menswear shoppers who are return visitors who have bought a bunch of products before. There we go. This is a little bit more menswear oriented. Shop our collection of men's apparel and accessories to look and feel your best. Make a statement with every purchase and join us in making a difference. It's fascinating. I want this to be a little shorter. Make this shorter. Let's see what we come up with. Give us shop our men's collection, make a statement, and make a difference. I kind of like that. That's not that bad. And there we go. We can publish this. And as you saw before, we can compare the metrics. Is our personalized version more effective than our depersonalized? And this is a good way to just get ideas generated, but it's not limited to just generating text. We can go in here, and I could have done this for the title and other things, but we could also do this for the design. For example, now let's go into AI editing of the design. So let's go in and hit edit existing. This is not just going to edit the text, it's going to edit the layout. Just so you know, the AI generation is in beta, and I'll show you generating some more cool stuff in a moment. The AI editing is in alpha. This is a wildly new thing that we had to build some interesting layers around LLMs to achieve. Sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does amazing things. So let's try it out. And so one thing I noticed is these two buttons have an equal weight, but let's actually, in most cases, when you have a large hero like this, you want one clear call to action and one secondary. If you go to the builder.io website, you'll tend to see that. We're never going to have two buttons with equal weights that are identical side by side. One primary, one secondary, one primary, one secondary, very common pattern. So let's do that. Let's say make one button the primary CTA and one button a secondary CTA with a different look and feel. Let's just try that. So what's cool about this is the AI will only edit what I've selected. So I selected this rectangle container, and now the AI is going to make edits to only that area. I could have selected the whole thing or said do it on everything all at once. The more specific, the better, because that'll actually generate a result faster. And it will also only focus on that area. You might not get surprises in other areas. Just like you saw before, when it's generating something brand new or generating an edit to the design itself, it takes a little longer because it's streaming a character by character completion, assembling the final results, and then it will apply it to our content here. And I'll show you in a minute, we also have an interesting Figma integration that we did something unique there that we can't do here because I'll explain in a minute, where we actually stream the design and design changes in real time so you can observe that. So I think that's a really, really cool thing. The other thing to know here too, actually, is oh, there we go. So there we have it. We have our edit, and it gave sort of an alternative color to the shop women's. That's kind of nice. I've seen it do other things like outline instead of a full kind of bleed fill button. And that's one of the nice things of the AI is it'll always give you a different result. I could ask it to do the same thing again and give me something unique again. I could ask for simple things as well, like maybe you don't know how to add space in between buttons, right? A visual editor that's responsive, like Builders, which is modeled after tools like Webflow, where you have complete and precise control. You should be able to always do anything that you can do in CSS. You should have complete control of the design, look, and feel. Can be hard to learn. There are a lot of things here. And if you're a designer with a background using more advanced tools like Figma, Auto Layout, Webflow, stuff like that, or a developer who knows CSS, fantastic. You probably know your way around, and you probably know that things you need here is like a margin left, which we have a nice little shortcut for. But say you don't know that. Say you just want space between buttons. Well, we can go in here and just say, add some space between the buttons. If you can say what you want, you can get what you want. Again, it's AI. It's like ChatGPT. The things that you get out of ChatGPT can be anywhere from phenomenal with a good prompt and good use case to what the heck is this? It's just wrong information. And that can happen too with any LLM-based system like Builder. But the more you practice, the more you try different things, you learn use cases that work great and workflows and prompts that work really well. And when you stick within those kind of lines, you can have really amazing success just talking to the computer, just like you would talk to another individual and sort of getting what you want. But at the same time, another thing I want to mention while this is crunching that data, there we go. And we have some space. What's cool is when it added the space, now I kind of get this little handle and I can change it however I want as well. Because one thing you don't want to do with AI is have to say, add some more space, add a little less space, add a little less space. What you want to do is have these multiple layers here. And that's where I kind of want to jump into one question we have, which Chuck asks, how do you respond to people who are adamantly against the idea of using AI for anything? And at least in terms of Builder, the way that we deal with that is treating this stuff as having layers, right? At the base layer is you write code. For instance, this is integrated into a Next.js website. So I am building content visually with Next.js. I am using components that developers made. We have a whole different range of built-in ones. You can add your own. I can show that in a moment, one that's much more rich with custom components. So that's a foundational layer, is we deliver websites through code, no matter what. We want to use the fastest, best possible code. So we want to work within the world of the coding frameworks that are popular today. And that's what Builder does. It's headless, meaning it's agnostic to technology, hook it into what you have, hook it into your WordPress, into your Next.js, into your Quick. It'll be fast, it'll be fluid, it'll be interconnected. Your developers can still do everything that they want to do within and around the system. The layer on top of that is the visual editing. It's like, hey, this is just code. Code has things like margins and padding. So let's be able to drag to change them. Let's be able to click and say, for those we allow, and by the way, we have a permission system say, hey, your designer should be able to change design. Your developer should be able to, add components or register them in code. Your editors can only edit copy. Your French editors can only edit the French localized version. You can get extremely specific, turn these features off entirely. But, if you want to just change a font, you should be able to just choose. Cool. We want to times fonts. This is all how kind of modern coding works. Let's just make it accessible to people. Let's go back to maybe I want an Arial. And so that's fantastic. This visual layer on top, and maybe I'll launch another demo here in a minute to show one interconnectivity piece is fantastic. And different people want to use different layers. I think a designer would love to work in this layer. AI is just a layer on top of that. It's like, hey, you don't need to learn all these controls. We will generate the changes for you and apply them automatically. So maybe the idea of AI agents and AIs doing complete jobs is, I can see the intimidation effect that can have. I stand by personally that AI just makes the work we're already doing easier. If you've experimented with AI agents, you'll probably have noticed they are, it's fascinating that they can do things, but they are very dumb. What you need is you still need a human to direct them on how to go, to give feedback. And it's amazing, we can do things faster. And I see personally that, and I've seen this forever as new technologies come out. The internet comes out, personal computing comes out, mobile devices come out. As soon as our ability to affect change and build things increases, our appetite increases proportionately. So now that we can generate web pages 5 times faster, guess what people want? They want 10 times more web pages, right? There was a concern once in the early days of Builder of, if we make building on our tech easier, what happens to developer jobs? The developers get more busy. They get busy on other things, the complicated things. The business now goes from only allowed to build 5 pages per year to being able to build 50 pages per month. And so what they want to do is that. They want to build them, they want to test them, and they want to tear them down. And the beauty there too is because you can build and tear down so fast, you're not wasting time and precious work on things that are maybe going to fail the test, not be the test winner, and go away. So the ability to move faster allows you to essentially accomplish more. Let me jump into maybe another quick couple questions here. Let's see. Oh, this is so fun. I've got a lot of philosophical questions, which I like. Web3 wallets and contracts. Let's take this one. So how easy is this to integrate the website with Web3 wallets and contracts? Here's the really big thing. With Builder, we are so agnostic to your technology that it's no different than a developer doing it for any other use case. So integrating with Web3 is the same as if you had a developer integrate with Web3 with or without Builder. So that's a vague answer, but it's kind of just Builder is a layer on top of your code. It doesn't replace any of it. So a lot of those things on how does this connect to that works exactly the same. Own website. One question here. So on the website style input, and maybe I'll answer questions while generating some more cool stuff. So why don't we do that? We got asked about the website style input. Let's explain what that is. So let's generate something new, and I'm going to generate something a little more complicated, like a row of recommended products. It should have a product image, price, and let's say availability. Actually, and name. Availability is a little weird to have on a row of recommended products. There should be 4 products in the row. It should look like it's on a product page. And maybe on this one, I'm going to choose, let's make it look like it's on, let's do Warby Parker. Let's see what something generates there. And so the question was, on the website style input I just entered, can you input your own website? So for example, I want these new AI generated pages to be consistent with our old. It's a great question. So right now today, so this feature is brand new. This is in beta and there's more being built. Right now today, the system needs to have a website it'll recognize. So if you work at Warby Parker, J. Crew, whatever, then it'll know what that style is like and be able to emulate it. Moving forward, the next thing we intend to add is 2 specific things. One is be able to recognize your exact existing look and feel. Starting with if you've made other content in Builder, let's make it mirror the sort of look and feel and structure of that. That could be anything from the design and look and feel to the components you use, and I'll talk about components in a minute, and how you use those components. And then moving forward, we intend to add an additional step to be able to train the AI or inform the AI about your current website's look and feel. So if your website is not a widely known website, like jQuery or whatever, like I mentioned, then we will have a system coming soon that it can look up your website in real time, identify the look and feel, and the AI will replicate that throughout the builder system. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that. The other thing I want to show, and maybe I'll yank this into a new tab over here, is I keep talking about components. Let me show you briefly what I mean while this AI continues to work to generate me some results. So I'm going to go to this cool edge personalization space, and I'm going to work with Builder with some components and show you what's coming for the AI of that. Then I've got a whole bunch of other cool things to show here too. So let's generate a new page. This is a different space. It's a different site. And I'm just going to make a new homepage. And by the way, it's important to recognize that Builder can generate pages on your website. It can generate sections. It can manage structured data like any other headless CMS. I'm showing page building because it's a very easy to wrap your mind around use case, but the types of things you can edit and how is completely customizable, and it can get very, very detailed and advanced. Okay, so this is an example of a different website, a cool dark mode website, where we have components built in. So this is using the Vercel Next.js Commerce Starter. I'm using React components here that are literally just built by developers. So this hooks into your existing code base. The React components in your code base become available in Builder. We have docs we can follow up with on how that works. It's pretty neat. It's very lightweight and just connects to what you have. You don't like ship components to us. It works within your systems and just sends JSON data to them. And I'll say like, hey there, and let's add some stuff. Let's add some products. So these are coming from, I believe, a Shopify product catalog. So let's put two side by side. I'm going to switch this over to, it's a very small product catalog. We only have two in it, and change the look and feel quickly. So these are just React components that we use on other parts of the website, now visually editable. Now, what's cool here too is we can use the AI to generate the inputs or the props for the components. So your hero takes a title and a description. It's locked down to a specific set of design guidelines. Perfect. And let's maybe generate something. Generate a sentence about why Acme, I think is the name, products are the best. Make it only 5 words. So you can get really specific. I think I even had a typo in that, and it doesn't matter. Acme products are top quality. I love it. And again, everything is responsive in here. And so the thing we're moving towards is being able to recognize the components you have and generate content within these components. So you can just say, make me a new page talking about our new product line. Here's what the products are, and it'll generate essentially what you're seeing here. Let's flip back to our other tab and complete that last example. So as a reminder, I asked for a row of recommended products with product images, etc. I really like the look of this one, so I'll pop that below. And now we can make any edits that we like here too. For example, I really want this image to fit. Oh, I guess the image was generated. We'll come back to generating images. We'll make a new one for that. And here we go. We've got product name. We've got price. We can fill these in, add a price of $100. I guess that was really unnecessary. I could have just typed it into the input, but it's a little more fun sometimes to let the AI do it. And here we've got various different images. Let's go in here and let's go to the photo picker and let's AI generate a photo. The AI generated photos, let's do like a be on orbparker.com's homepage. I think that's nice. The thing about AI generated photos is they work fantastic for mockups in particular. Like when you're drafting a page or design and you're like, hey, I don't know what the final production things will be, but I know it should have a light or dark look and feel. It should be featuring eyewear, etc. This can be a great way to just whip up some things that you can put in so you can look at it, refine it, and then get the final artwork in when it's ready and not have generic and boring placeholders here. Let me open up the Q&A in 1 second. And ooh, I like the style here. And again, like all AI, you can describe in more detail the style you want. This is pretty hip. I quite like this one. I just like that blue a lot. And maybe we will bring that over here and maybe we'll readjust the aspect ratio. Let's do, why don't we just bring this photo over? So again, we can manipulate it exactly as we're used to. However, we're like, awesome. Let me get to a few more questions, and I want to show some more cool things, including generating Figma designs and how we stream that in real time. I also want to show how we generate interactive mini applications, which is cool. Let's go in here. Yes. Okay, good question. So Mike Hicks asked, how is the content searchable, assuming you use a search product like Algolia? So out of the box, everything in Builder is fully searchable. So I can go in here, and this is actually the live pages we have in Builder. I want to flip a little flag over here. Well, we'll get to it. So if I want to search, let's see, we have all these agencies pages. So I'll just search agencies, and I'll get here a list of all our agency pages. Oops, I do need to flip a flag. Forgive me. We have a little experiments that we're running on our content API that makes it slow. So I want to turn that off. Okay, cool. So yeah, everything's searchable here in Builder, and you can also use advanced filters to say like, oh, the title should include this, and the supports dark mode should be true. Very, very deep. Internally, this is our own system. We deliver content through this kind of advanced search and indexing system that we have here. But you can customize it however you like. And we have an integration with Algolia. So the one thing we don't do is full text search. And our integration with Algolia will replicate all of your Builder content into Algolia and allow you to have full text search. It's a really, really useful integration. And I'll show you now that I have it in faster mode. Yeah, we can search for our homepage. We also have one other cool utility here too, that if I just want to jump to, I think we have like a integrations page, excuse me, integrations. Oops, I spelled it wrong, of course. You can just use the Command K menu to jump to anything. So we have a integrations doc here, jump into that. Now let's go to our homepage, jump into that. These are some drafts. Let's do this one. And that's kind of fun, easy way to get around. Let's see, what else do we have here? Magento homepages. There we go. Let's do this one. So the question was, if I want to plug builder.io content into our Magento homepage or marketing landing pages, how is that done? You need a developer to integrate it. So I think we have a good diagram on the homepage that shows this off. There we go. I'll make this nice and big. So Builder is a layer into any technology stack. We don't tell you what your front end or hosting or back end should be. So if you use Magento backend with a Vue.js front end to deploy to AWS, awesome. You have a developer integrate. Integration usually takes less than a day. We have very thorough docs and very clean and easy to use APIs. The basic things can be done immediately, and you can get super advanced and custom however you want. So check out our developer docs, have a developer on your team, or hire someone through one of our partners to integrate to whatever website you have. So here's a good one. I do want to answer this live. So the question was, can the AI do more complicated tasks as well, like having the title font glow or implementing animations as you scroll down the page? So let me show you what we have for this, or very related to this. So I will go back and I'll go to this. I'll make a new page, actually. I bogged that one down with a whole lot of things. AI page, cool. Let's show some more advanced stuff. So an experimental feature we have now is what we call mini application generation, and I'll explain why. So if you hit Command K, you can also get to this menu from here. We call it just the command menu. And let's do mini app. So we call it our mini app generator. Similar to what you saw before, but this runs in a different mode. And I'll explain, let me start. There are a lot of questions on how this works, so I'll explain here how this works. So I'll use this prompt. I think it's an interesting one because this is something that OpenAI showed recently too. And you'll see an important difference in our output and what you can do with it from theirs. So what they asked for and they showed in their GPT-4 announcements is make us a joke generator app. They did it through an image. That was kind of cool. We're doing it from a prompt, and I'll show you what's different. So I'm just asking it to make me an app that generates jokes. You can imagine different ways this could look, but I'll show you how it works. Now, how this works under the hood, and we had like 5 questions about this. So it's using an LLM. We change the LLMs from time to time. Currently, it's using OpenAI's GPT 3.5 Turbo. We have experimented with other open source models and looking into self-training, more optimized models for our use case. This was experimental, so sometimes it takes a couple tries, and I'll explain what's going on under the hood. But basically, it's using, in this case, for example, it's using OpenAI to generate a React component. So we're saying, essentially, generate a React component that is a simple joke generator React component. What Builder then can do, and this is because of an open source project we have called Mitosis that I can show off in a bit if anybody cares, it was able to look at the React code and import the React code, including API calls, dynamic data, event listers, et cetera, into Builder. A core tenet of Builder always has been it is as powerful and works identically to how front-end frameworks work. So anything you could build in React, you can build in Builder. Now, the reality is learning all the UIs to set up all these bindings, just so you can see every time I'm clicking here, I'm getting a new joke. This has got a click listener. It makes an API call. It generates new content here, and I can open it to the side. And here's a look at sort of what's going on under the hood. Builder is able to, essentially, you can edit anything in Builder as code or a UI. It's actually a one-to-one thing. So this sort of React-looking component is fully editable. What the AI generated was a API call to this random joke generator API. It's updating the state, and it is listening to the click and putting the result here. What's cool about this is we were able to parse that from a response that generates a React component, move it to our format, and now everything is fully editable. So I can change anything I want. Maybe I want a different color, like the background I would prefer to be this bright blue color. Maybe I want to add a shadow. Maybe I want to rearrange where this is. We can put it wherever we want, generate jokes. Now they generate over there. All that is fair game. But we can also make changes with AI as well. Like I'm opening up, sorry, I use a lot of keyboard shortcuts here, but I'm opening this and I'm saying, what is a website that have a joke generator? Make this, let's do something funny. Make this look like it is on wikipedia.com. I've never done this. Also, isn't it wikipedia.org? I think it redirects, whatever. The AI usually can figure it out. I make weird prompts that are full of typos all the time. But I'll show you one thing here too. So when we first built this system, that was like, hey, what if you built no code that interoperates with any code base, any backend, front end, et cetera, any component system, whatever, and it could do anything code can do. Like there's a UI for all these things, like in our data tab, and I can move this out of the way. You know, here's where the click actions are. You can see where the bindings for this data is. It comes from this joke property. Look at that. It looks more like Wikipedia. So it just finished my Wikipedia ask and made it look more like Wikipedia. I would give feedback to the AI and be like, I think a black button would look more Wikipedia-esque, but whatever. Let's do one more thing, and then I'll keep explaining what I was explaining. Make this look like, oh, and obviously it all still works as expected. Let's say make this look like it was on apple.com. I got weird results from this in the past. Let's see if it does better this time. But anyway, all these advanced use cases can be done with the Builder UIs, this date and state and binding system. You can open up the code interface and you can edit the stuff as code all you want. And maybe get joke is like, get joke, you know, and you can apply the edits, etc. Ta-da, there's my edits. But it's like, well, who has time to learn all that? Who has time to learn the code side? Who has time to learn the UI side? Just say it to AI and let AI do it. So that was kind of a big revelation, and that's effectively how it works. Generate this code as React, import into Builder. We do some massaging of the prompts and massaging of the imports. Let's try this one again. And one other thing to note too is the system, how this works is you can generate and edit things multiple things at once. So every time, let's say we also wanted to add a homepage hero section, whatever, we could have multiple AI prompts running at a time. You could fill your window with 5 different AI commands going. So if you're having trouble with that, it does take 30 seconds. This is getting faster, but it takes a minute. That's cool. Apply an edit here, apply an edit there. Say all the things you want to change. You'll get 5 different windows, and they'll all kind of apply in sort of as they complete. Let me take some more questions, and I'm happy to elaborate on questions as well. Like I started to explain how it works. For example, one question, which AI generates the images? Currently, we're using DALL-E 2, so Stable Diffusion. Mark that as done. Okay, here's the more Apple looking. I would say it looks kind of Apple, but again, AI will give you different results on different types of things, but as you still find, it still works, which is pretty cool. Some use cases, by the way, we're excited for is common asks people get with Builder is like, well, what if I wanted to integrate a gift guide where people can choose the type of gift that they want, their budget, who it's for, and then we can recommend from our product catalog in an interactive way. So on our website, choose what you want. Here's your recommended products. What if we want to integrate Yotpo reviews or Klaviyo pop-ups? Like, yeah, we have integrations. We have kind of pre-built integrations and templates over here where you can import designs from Figma. I promise I'll show some Figma stuff with AI in a second. And you can import sort of integrations that are pre-built, which cool, that's awesome. But what if you could just completely say what you want, something brand new where it hits an API, it renders dynamic things, it all runs performantly. That's where we see this going. So whatever you want on your website to get more experimental, more interactive, more engaging to your users, we want to be able to say it, edit it visually, edit it with prompts, or come in and edit with code. As you saw, we can open up code mode and just get in there. Or as you saw over here, wherever I put it, over here, you can take the components already in your code base and intermix them as well. And again, with roles and permissions, you can decide who can do what. Let's see. So I think I answered this one. I'm going to go through, let's see. We have a lot of questions here. Larger pages, input limit for AI. Yes, good question. So Anton asks, can AI make edits to too large page? So that's where the selection system comes in. So let's say, let's go to a home page that we've had for the builder site. I think this is a duplicate that we've made. Okay. Yeah, this is one we were experimenting with, a different copy that Mike came up with. So if I just tried to say, edit this entire page at once, that actually would exceed the prompt limit. So as you may have seen with ChatGPT and other LLM-based systems, there's a limit to how large the prompt can be. And so that's where the selection solves things. So what you want to do is choose a selection at a time. So maybe you want to do just this section, or because usually what you want is not rethink the entire page. It would be just like, I'll do a cool one here. Translate all. Oops, let me move this out of the way. Translate the text to French. And now I selected just this. By selecting just this, I'm within the prompt window. And I'll show you, we'll give warnings if you select something too large. And then the edits are focused as well, because as we all know, and I think OpenAI says this well, AI makes mistakes. Humans make mistakes. AI is trained off of humans and how humans use language and code, etc. And so focusing the edits on what you want allows you to see that what was edited and how it was edited, and no surprises, no accidental mistakes will potentially leak in. And I'll show you another example here too while this is running my translate everything to French command. If I select, I've now selected this large area, and if I hit the edit button, it'll say, oops, you selected too much, you're past the prompt limit, just select something smaller. This is surprisingly sort of easy to do, and we'll get our French translations in our section here in a minute. Yeah, so good question here. So rather than company's own website, can the input reference a design system? So yes, coming soon. You can today put in the prompt, essentially the details of your design system. So a workaround today is you can fill this prompt. This prompt can be not unlimited size. It can be very large. You can write an essay here. So one thing you could do is write out in a notepad or something shared all the details of your design system. Here's the top fonts, colors, spacing, all the information about the design tokens you have, and then paste it in here. So when you say a homepage hero section that adheres to this big list of design system, that'll work right now today. And what we're going to be doing next, coming soon, is working in that design system. What I'd like to do personally is be able to allow you to import your design system from a link to a live website. So we'll just figure it out, or a link to a Figma. So we can figure it out from your Figma tokens, or allow you to fill it in, manually. And then that can be essentially auto-completed in here. So that's where we want to go with that specifically, and how you can work with it now today. A good question here. And so the question is, can you describe the headless part of Builder and how this fits into things? So as a little bit of background, I'll go back to this page. Headless in this kind of like modern web front-end world generally just refers to, it's just an API that you can plug into other things. And so a typical no-code system, pretty much all that you will see today, any drag and drop system, no-code, low-code, whatever, they are not headless. If you make a website with Webflow, great company, by the way, they have AI features, it sounds like, come in the future. If you just want to spin up a website for your wedding, your personal portfolio, etc., and you don't mind, or it's even of value to you for Webflow to create and host the website, you don't have to pick any technologies, you don't have to pick who hosts it. That's fantastic. That is not a headless use case. That's hey, just manage and produce the whole website for me. I don't want to have to make any other choices. On the contrary, if you are a Fabletics or Everlane or JCrew or whatever, look at the companies, these companies. What you have is you have a technology stack. You have a preferred hosting provider. Zapier, I think, uses AWS, and for their front-end technology, they want to choose that too. They use Next.js. Their developers make React components, and they limit what can be produced in the visual editor to the components in their design system. So it's all on brand, which as a side note, that's another way coming soon to stay on brand is use Builder to register your design system of components from your code, and the AI will produce only within that. That one's coming really soon. We've got some cool demos, and Zapier even made a plugin on that. Like speaking of Zapier briefly, all of this AI stuff is extensible. Builder has a plugin system where you can completely change and extend the AI system and tweak it to your liking. So Zapier has already made an experimental plugin where they take their design system, you write out what you want, and it generates entire pages with the design system perfectly on brand. It is really, really cool, and we're going to work with them on that, either to bring that into the product or a similar feature for everybody here soon. But just so you know, if you have developers on staff and you want to make and customize these UI flows and the AI integration, Builder system allows you to build React components and edit configs with JavaScripts to customize it to your needs, which is quite cool. So again, the headless thing just means you have a website, you have a stack, you have a platform, you have a product catalog, you have all that. Builder connects to it. It doesn't tell you, it doesn't force you into any changes. If you want the best of breed, the fastest, the most dynamic personalization from the edge, awesome. This is the one and only drag and drop system like this that will connect to whatever you have. So particularly useful for like a mid-market to enterprise business that's having trouble with releasing things fast enough, but meeting their design, performance, and technology requirements. This is kind of the ideal solution and what this was built for. Going back here, also, oh, there we go. We have our translated into French text as well, by the way. So I skipped the title, but we have all of this. And so it was running for a minute, so maybe we've forgotten about it entirely, but I just said, hey, translate all this stuff to French, and it just did that all for me at once. Let me go to more questions. Please keep throwing questions into the chat. I will be continuing to answer them. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, the resulting source code. I forgot two things. One is you can see the source code that's generated. And two is we can use Figma to generate with AI as well and import that to Builder. So let me show you a couple other really cool things. So one is, what does this code look like? We actually pride ourselves in keeping the code clean, high quality, and performant, and native to your tech stack. So let's go back to where we actually generated some stuff with AI. Where did we do that? I know where we did it. Let's go back over here. Let's go to our page and let's go to our most recent cool. Oh, that's a joke generator. Actually, let's show the code for the joke generator. This is kind of a fun one. So anything in Builder, you can grab the code for, and this is quite cool in my opinion, because you can get it in different styles. So this is our joke generator, which uses use state in React. It uses it uses an event listener, handle the click to run and set the joke. It's pure React code. You can have it generate different styling options like a motion CSS attribute. Styled components is another popular way to generate this, or styled JSX. So this is all the styling down here at the bottom. Or a really nice option these days is Tailwind. But you can use other frameworks entirely. So we can use Vue here. Maybe I'll use Vue with or without Tailwind. Vue is a really nice option for if that's what you use. Svelte, Angular, HTML, CSS, Solid.js, etc. This is powered by our Mitosis open source project. I'll briefly show you that. Mitosis was what powers turning all the visuals into high quality code. You can actually write code with Mitosis. I'll show you this in a moment, actually. We can actually write code with Mitosis and generate code for all the different types of things that you might want to do, as well as edit them in Builder. That's a whole separate demo. I won't go too deep on there. You could do your research. We could follow up with links to Mitosis. It's pretty cool. But the really, really interesting thing here too is this is great. And if you just want to jump in and generate something with AI, I can show another example of like that cool hero that we made. Let's pop over here and let's get the code just for this. So you can choose to get the code for everything or just a section at a time. So here's some really nice Tailwind code for that hero that we generated earlier. I forgot, didn't get you all a chance to see it, but here's the code for that. And we can run that across frameworks too. Oh, here's the quick framework. That's what we make. I almost forgot to show that. Vue, Svelte, etc. Choose your styling and options and all of that. But the thing is, you don't always necessarily want to copy paste this code, copy paste back and forth, back and forth. So that's where Builder provides the API option that we tend to recommend, especially for marketing use cases in particular, where you don't need to, hey, copy this, pull request, deploy, oops, don't roll back, blah, blah, blah. You instead can just hit a button, and now this is live automatically. It comes from an API. We have a doc that describes this. It's just JSON data that renders with your components in your stack. It's really cool. And you can choose kind of where and how to integrate this. So I'll show that really briefly in the developer docs. So here in the developer docs is where you can choose to integrate full-on page building. It's within your site and stack, section building, and structured data. We have these things called blueprints on like how would you integrate landing pages, home pages, blog posts, product details, editorial and hero sections, navigation links, and all of that. And this will give you detailed how to set it up, code that you can copy paste in. And now every edit is just a click and publish, like a typical headless CMS, but with all this amazing visual editing capabilities. Let's see. This is a great question. So the question is, we use Salesforce Commerce Cloud and have a staging environment before replicating to live. When using Builder and making page updates, the updates go to live immediately. Is it possible to schedule changes in Builder that will go live in Salesforce CC at a specified date and time? Yes. So both. We both support environments as a first-class feature. So when you use environments, you can actually change the workflow rules so that this change actually publishes to our QA environment. It's live on the staging site. You have somebody else review it, and when they approve, it goes live. And that can include scheduling. So these workflows can get very, very advanced and detailed, but you can totally say this page will only be live in production from these dates, and you can have a specific sequence of approvals. It goes to staging, it gets approved, it's scheduled for live, and it'll be in production at a future date. And what's really cool here too is we give you a UI to fast forward through time, you could call it. So let me pick a space I have that has this maybe set up. So let's do a little example here. Let's make a version. This was the other space I was using with components. Here's our top quality page. I'm going to schedule this. I'm going to target this. So I'm going to say only our audience that is a shirt shopping audience. These audiences come from your CDP automatically. It's really cool. They just show up using our smart targeting feature. Maybe a return visitor. I'll just start with audience. And then I'll say this is scheduled for only a future date. I could show off the workflow feature, but that would require a different demo. But the workflow is just really, really cool, and the approvals and all the kind of UIs that walk you through it. And then you can go to our Studio tab, and this one will show, here's the current homepage. But if you're like, hey, what would a different audience see? What did I even set that one to? Shirt shoppers? I don't know. It'll show you what different audiences see. So let's pick a date in the future. Let's say on this date, if you are a shirt shopper, and now I don't even remember what we chose before, but you'll see what different people see. As a demo space, I guess I don't have any content for all these varieties, but different locales, etc. It'll show you what those users will see at that point in time, whatever attributes you've identified them with. Cool. Also, just as a note, we're running low on time. We meant this to be an hour. There's a couple more things I want to show, but this is not your last opportunity to talk to us. I'm going to try and get through as many questions as I can. I do have one more thing I want to show. But also, you can also reach out to our teams. We have our sales team. You can literally go and hit the talk to us button to request a meeting with our sales team to ask your questions in detail. The product has a generous free tier. You can go try the product and try things out and jump into our support channels or forum to ask your questions. But let's go through a few more here as well. AI create, yes. Yeah, okay. So here's one specific to Figma. Oops. And so let's do this. I want to go over to Figma and show you something cool that we've done here as well. So we have a Figma plugin that brings this technology to Figma. And specifically what it does that's really cool is, well, I'll just show you. So from the plugins menu, you can enter builder.io and you get our builder.io plugin inside of Figma. Now we can go and hit the generate designs button, and same thing you saw before, enter a prompt and a style inspiration. I'll just generic homepage hero. So this will look familiar, but you'll notice something really, really cool here that we do, despite that it'll be in Figma, but we are generating the designs in real time. So with Builder, you see a spinner, and I'll explain why you need the spinner there. But the way we're able to generate in real time here is we can see the designs streaming in kind of as they go. Cool, they're done. Let's try something else. I'll just say a product page. Build me an entire product page. There is a limit to how much it can generate, so it won't generate a gigantic, full-length, huge page, but it can generate the initial kind of sections. And again, we can see it design here in real time, which is really neat. I generally recommend with Builder or our Figma plugin. The Figma plugin is totally free, by the way, and I'll show you how you can bring anything over to Builder. So generally, I recommend generating these things section by section. So this is pretty nice. This is like the hero section. And the import process takes a split moment, and oh, I'm in a weird Figma mode here. Oh, I am in wireframe mode. Does anybody in the chat know how to get out of wireframe mode at Figma? Let's copy this and let's maybe open up a new Figma and let's hope I get out of wire. Okay, this one is out of wireframes mode. This is something old I had in here. Okay, thank goodness. So this is what was generated. I have the image automatically blur here because for Figma, we generate a lower resolution image because it's generally just a placeholder anyway. But now we can just continue to generate more here. So I can go and open the extension again. And let's do a recommended products section for an e-commerce page. And I'll continue to stick with an Everlane aesthetic. And again, we will see here that it will stream in real time our recommended product section. Yeah, this is really neat. And so over here, I think we've got this large visual. That's kind of cool. Over here, we're streaming sort of a one product cell at a time, or kind of one little product in the product grid at a time. Oh, it's not giving many products. Let's give more. It should be a row of 4 products. Let's try this again and have it generate for us a second time. There we go. Okay, so we have our product slowly streaming in, and then I'll show how we can turn this to code in a moment as well, which is really neat. It'll pop back to Builder. The code generation works with anything. It works with designs created outside of the AI or in the AI. I don't know why it refuses to give us 4 products. That's okay, because what I can do is I can import this nice product cell, and in Figma, I can easily replicate it too. So there we go. We've got this beautiful product cell right inside of our design tool. I didn't maybe point out already, but this is all completely editable. So I can go in and change my great product. I can tweak this however I like. I can go in and replicate this frame, this frame, 4 times. Here's our recommended products, which is pretty cool. And then I can import it into Builder, which is pretty cool. All we need to do is convert this to auto layout. That's how you tell it kind of what's responsive. Figma has a pretty simple system. So I converted this to auto layout. I'm going to group these things and convert these to auto layouts. And now I can open up that Builder. I can convert these as well, but I'm just going to start by doing this top section. And I'm going to go open the Builder plugin and convert this to what we call converting it to code, which quite instantly, which is pretty cool, opens up Builder. And hey, we've got it inside of Builder. We can tweak things however we want here, like make this vertical. And what's nice is everything comes in nice and responsive, as you'd expect as well. So we made that static image, which I generated from AI. You could have designed it in Figma, but we brought it over here in Builder to be responsive. And I also didn't show earlier, which I don't want to miss, that everything the AI generates will be responsive. So you'll see how this will all fit the different screen sizes as expected. And in Builder, you can make changes per screen size as well. For instance, maybe we want these buttons to stack down here. So we can change them to stack, and let's change them to be kind of full width. I want them to fill the width and have no max width. There we go, and have a little space here. Now I'm making edits that are unique to just mobile. You can see on desktop, it snaps back. So that's how we can go in and make all of our little refinements, whether generated from AI, imported from Figma, or designed from scratch, or again, using your design system like we showed here. Everything will be nice and responsive down to the tiniest screen size, etc. Okay, let me try and squeeze in a couple more questions. Modify its UI with drag and drop. Here's a question. Can you import your existing app into Builder and then modify its UI with drag and drop? Yes, but keep in mind, you don't modify, like Builder wants to edit things on a component by component basis. So it'll import your application as like Lego blocks, and then you can rearrange the Lego blocks in any way. This creates a really good system for collaborating between developers who want to build the blocks, build the components, and your marketing, product, and design teams that want to rearrange the components, run tests, personalize, etc., kind of like we saw. Let's see which others we can go in here. Let's see, trying to get the most impactful questions in the last few minutes we have. Please continue to send yours in if I haven't gotten to it. Let's see. Page. Sorry, having trouble choosing. Oh, this is actually a really good one. So this may have been answered prior, but this one is, can the AI create interactive elements such as a map that displays state-specific information upon cursor hover? That might be particularly advanced. Let's try something just for the fun of it. And let's do mini app generator. Let's do an interactive map to show, what could we do here? What would we want to put in to show cities in California? I'm just making something up. I have no idea if this will be successful or not. This is the most experimental feature and the one we're most excited about continuing to make better over time. But we'll find out. So as we let that run, we'll get back to it. Okay, this is a good one. Which open API tier are we using? Can users bring their own API key for speed versus accuracy? If yes, then any plans to also support other AI providers such as BART? So for our Figma integration, this is a completely bring your own key, choose your own options. So the Figma integration is completely free. You can generate designs with Figma in real time like you saw. And you just have to provide your own OpenAI key. The code for this, the UI here, the key interface is all open source too, that can be changed. And we can experiment because it's open source with different models, and we are doing that behind the scenes. For Builder, our goal is to make it just work. And so we do the experimentation of the different models, the different prompts, the different workflows that work best, and automatically provide the best possible experience. Let's try this again. And so maybe we'll allow you to choose your models in the future. I will mention we make other AI projects, like one really funny, interesting one we make is this thing called AI Shell. This is totally open source. This is where you can literally ask AI whatever you want. Like I asked this the other day, detect what port Next.js is running on. It'll generate shell scripts and explanations and allow you to run the commands here. The other thing you can do too is just chat here. In this example, like, you know, how do I change the port in Next.js? For this specific project, we actually do plan to support additional models. We're actually looking for contributors. You can find it on GitHub as builder.io/AI shell. And this one is one of our interesting kind of playgrounds to try lots of different AI models. We want to swap the backends between free models, open source models. Hugging Face came out with a great one recently. I hear good ones from Alpaca. And so anyway, I don't want to go too deep on the code. We don't have 100% developers here. We're running low on time. Let me squeeze one more question in, and then we can wrap up here. I really appreciate all the great questions, all the great engagement, all that really cool stuff. Thank you all for joining this. I think it's fantastic and exciting to see so many great faces here from so many different areas. Maybe we'll hit this one. Let's see, sorry, there's some philosophical ones I think are interesting. Let's do this one to wrap things up. So 2 related questions here. One was, how can this help digital marketers? How can this help keep digital marketers relevant in the age of AI? So let's start with that. I really think, and maybe this will help kind of tie things up and bring things home, that it is my personal belief that similar to when the internet became this huge revolution and mobile became a huge revolution, that certain groups of businesses, if you are not getting online, you're falling behind quickly. Or if you're not getting into having a mobile app or a optimized website, you really would fall behind. So if you work like everyone here probably does in a competitive industry, if your industry is likely to be changed by AI, if it's likely to enable your competitors to move faster, build more personalized, more optimized content for their customers, their consumers. A lot of builder customers work in what we call the conversion-driven space, meaning they're creating pages that are meant to be optimized for visitors who are deciding. We can look at the logos listed again. Creating variations of pages for people deciding, do I want to buy a J.Crew product? Do I want to use Afterpay to buy now, pay later? Do I want to use Experian for all of my credit needs? Should I be subscribing to Fabletics or purchasing from Vistaprint, et cetera? Generally speaking, the way you need to do that well is you need to be rapidly testing. You need to produce landing pages for SEO. You need to produce personalized pages so that if you're sending advertisements that go from here's the ad where our machine learning already figured out which ad which person should see. The ad is talking about why the latest Everlane shoes have a copper lining and why that's great. You should have continuity, for example. The ad, if it talks about X feature, the page the consumer lands on should talk about that same feature and show more about it and more related things. The more that you can test your ideas, look at conversions, and repeat, the more you can create more variations that are more personalized, SEO optimized, conversion optimized for ads, email, and social. The more you can stay ahead, the more you can lower your costs to acquire customers, the more you can be ahead and be having a clearer, more distilled, more impactful message to your customers, the more you're going to win compared to your competitors. And if you're using a tool set, if you have a workflow where your workflow is, we can only make 5 pages per year because we need engineering effort for every single one, then your business can only evolve a tiny bit per year. Imagine that against a competitor who is using AI to generate new variations every day. They're using a system like Builder to pump it into their tech stack, so it's high quality, high speed, and they're able to look at the data, every single variation, every A/B test group, every personalized variation, every ad, email, etc., is going to 5 different variations, and you can immediately see which is winning and iterate and have your team drag, drop, publish to create new variations and view reporting. You're having AI suggest edits. You're having AI that you speak to generate out exactly sort of what you have and sort of what you require, whether it's a variation with different copy, with different spacing, with different layout, etc. I think that's how you get and stay ahead. And if I were competing with any of these names here, I would be worried about how we could be moving faster, learning more, because at the end of the day, and this is maybe a personal belief more than an undeniable fact believed by everybody, if you can move faster than your competitors, you can learn more, you can grow more, and you can be more ahead. And embracing AI, embracing faster workflows, more lean and modern workflows that take off a ton of strain from your developer backlogs, so your developers can focus on hard problems, optimize search, better design system components, things that are interesting and meaty and matter, and things like rearrange this page, change this copy, run 5 A/B tests should be able to be done by anybody in the team, especially those who are specifically goaled off of those tasks. Drag, drop, publish. Your engineers can sleep at night knowing it's all restricted to workflows that are predefined, roles and permissions, design systems, etc., and the business can grow and learn and repeat faster. I think that's how you stay ahead. And I think where AI is particularly interesting is not creating brand new workflows, but working into workflows. I think the trifecta of integrate into code, edit and modify visually, and generate with AI, generate and edit with AI, is a whole new ballgame that amplifies that whole kind of circle where, for example, you may have seen, and maybe I have my little joke generator here somewhere. I think I do. Cool. If you saw OpenAI's latest, greatest big demo, sorry, I'm gonna let my dog out. He's going crazy over here. I have a little chihuahua named Max. Anyway, if you saw OpenAI's latest demo, they showed take a picture and make a joke generator. That's fantastic. But how do you host that somewhere? How do you edit it? Like, what do you do with it? It's like, that's awesome. But we need these end-to-end workflows where you can come in, and you saw how I just gave a prompt and I said, make it look different. I've done cool experiments where I've said, like, we can do it now. We can say, generate 2 jokes instead of 1. Let's see if I have any typos there. When the get joke button is clicked. I could also add another button. I could say add an input that you can choose how many jokes to generate. And then when you click it'll, that's how you really kind of iteratively produce amazing things. Is easy to produce, easy to edit, repeat. And so we made a joke generator. Next thing you know, we edit it, we command it differently. Next thing you know, we built something absolutely new entirely. Let me double check because I do want to see if this runs. This is a prompt that I know works sometimes, not otherwise. But I do think personally that's how you get ahead. I think if you're an engineering team, you want to be leaner and more efficient. And you don't want to be like the engineering team I was leading back at my last company. I worked at a company called Shopsell.com. E-commerce did about $500 million in GMV. Our engineering team was slammed with new marketing pages, new this, new that. And it really was a wild amount of work for things that should have just been automated. So concentrating engineering time on what matters, concentrating marketing time on boosting conversions, etc. Okay. There's a ton more questions. We're not going to be able to get to them all. Let me open up our final slide here and give me an opportunity to say, thank you everybody for coming. So if you don't follow me already, I post stuff like this on Twitter. I am Steve8708 on Twitter. I am on LinkedIn and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. So I post stuff like this. If you haven't already, you can request a demo with our team. We'll follow up with an email with the recording of this entire talk. You can tweet at me. I am very responsive on Twitter in particular. So tweet at me or LinkedIn at me. And if you have additional follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer there. Our team is happy to answer if you engage with sales. You can try out the product for free. There's a generous free tier, and there's some features you have to pay for, but there's immediate like 30-day trial, so you could try out everything upon signing up. Hit me up, hit our team up, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Don't be strangers, try it out, and I really appreciate everybody coming here. And we have another webinar coming. Actually, let me reshare my screen. Team will kill me if I don't mention our other awesome webinar. Whoop. Next, we have a composable commerce webinar. This is in a couple weeks. Mike, let me know. Mike, if you're there, let us know when the composable commerce one is. It'll be a similar fashion to this, all demo, no pitch, me, blah, 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 talking. When is it, Mike?
In a couple weeks. Yeah.
In a couple weeks. Yeah, I think maybe exactly 2 weeks from today. We'll follow up. Anyway, we'll send you all an email with recording, more details, ping me on Twitter, etc. And thank you so much for joining. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you all did too. And stopping the recording now, and see you all hopefully next time.